Be specific and be real. What we really want to know when we're looking at a resume is, what did you actually do? What problems were you there to solve? What technologies did you work with? What was the outcome? If you implemented a tool like SailPoint, tell me specifically about the environment. How many identities? What connectors? What compliance requirements did you solve?
Welcome to Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How, the podcast for cleared professionals looking for new opportunities and career advice. We go behind the scenes with recruiters and hiring managers from leading cleared employers to uncover the information you need to make a smart career move.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How. My name is Bob Wheeler, I'm with ClearedJobs.Net, and we are really excited today because with us in the podcast, we've got Tabitha Hancock from the company UberEther. It's an identity business company out of Sterling, Virginia, and I just want to say hello to Tabitha. You're the general manager there. Welcome to the studio.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. First, let's just start off, Tabitha, to learn a little bit about yourself. Tell us about, your journey from working at UberEther. You've been there for a bit of time now.
Yeah, so I built my foundation in identity and access management during an 11-year tenure at a local bank called Park National Bank, where I served as an identity and access management director for about 11 years. During that time, I developed expertise in IAM systems and security frameworks within the financial services sector. Then in 2021, I transitioned from banking to the federal cybersecurity market by joining UberEther as their IAM delivery manager. This move marked a pretty big shift for me from commercial to more government focused. And at UberEther, I went from being an IAM delivery manager to the identity services general manager that I am today.
This is great. We talked to lots of different people on the podcast here. So you're not a recruiter. You're more of a doing the business kind of person, right? I
am. I'm the hiring manager.
Yeah, I love talking to hiring managers because you have such unique insight, not just about the hiring process, but about the company too. So we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Tabitha, you've been there for 4 years now, and you talked about how you've kind of moved up the ladder and things like that. What's it been like, and what gets you excited to come to work every day?
Well, working for UberEther, it's been an incredible journey so far. I genuinely love the people that I work with here at UberEther. We have a team that is collaborative, supportive, and really committed to what we do, which makes all the difference when you're tackling complex, challenging problems, but you love it. Honestly, I just love identity. It is a fun space to be in. There's something uniquely satisfying about solving hard problems, which is what we do here at UberEther.
Yeah, so you're doing hard problems. Give us a scoop on a little bit more on exactly, what you guys do, what you do in the cleared space specifically. Can you get a little granular on that?
Sure. So UberEther specializes in identity and access management solutions for federal agencies and the defense sector. So all about helping our government customers build and maintain secure identity infrastructures that meet the most stringent compliance requirements. FedRAMP, DoD, IL5. We have FedRAMP High, DoD, IL5 accreditation right now. So in the cleared space, we work across both DoD components and civilian agencies, as well as commercial. Our customers are mission-focused organizations that need enterprise-scale IAM implementations. And they come to UberEther, who handles everything from architecting those, designing those, to full lifecycle implementation, including planning, development, production releases, upgrades, data migration, you name it, we handle it. So essentially, we're helping federal agencies solve the hardest identity and access management challenges in environments where security isn't optional.
Goodness knows that's an important job, and there's a lot of good work out there. UberEther is kind of a cool name for a company too. I guess when the company was founded, the president had some kind of a goal in mind, or there's a little bit of I don't say thought, but there's some purpose behind what's going on, right?
Yeah. So Matt Topper is our president. His goal in starting UberEther wasn't to grow a huge company with UberEther, on the side of the building next to the freeway. The goal really was to be the absolute best and have the absolute best talent into a home where they could do their best work and be rewarded for it. So by bringing together the best developers, integrators, and operations people that he knew was where he could satisfy the customers over and over again for their needs.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's to have that kind of a goal, to have that kind of a standard is really, really important. So if somebody thinks to themselves like, hey, I'd like to be part of the best, what kind of cleared positions and skill sets are you guys using there at UberEther?
Yeah, so mainly we're hiring identity engineers, which I know is a very broad title, but what we're looking for is deep hands-on expertise with these enterprise identity platforms. So we typically look for technical expertise that are proficient in Radiant Logic, Ping Identity, SailPoint, CyberArk, Delinea, or other very similar ICAM tool sets. We're also looking for people with federal ICAM knowledge, deep knowledge that goes into integration skills. So the ability to integrate these IAM platforms within federal systems, common ones that everyone knows, kind of Active Directory or LDAP directories, all the various HR systems, as well as various agency-specific applications that range over multiple federal customers. Really just API development, troubleshooting capabilities, and then having some deep knowledge in the compliance framework. It definitely helps.
Those are certainly some technical things, but one of the questions that our listeners are going to want to know too is that we're a cleared podcast here. So clearance levels, are these like super high level clearances? Are they all the way down at the lower level? Are you like a smorgasbord? What kind of clearance levels are you talking about here for these contracts?
So the majority of them are top secret. We do have some at the secret level, but a majority that we hire for are top secret.
When you say top secret, are you talking polygraph as well, or just top secret?
Yes, polygraph, SCI.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And then the locations then, a lot of times these types of positions, there's places that are kind of like the bread and butter. I know the headquarters is out of Sterling, Virginia. Are your positions mostly in Virginia, Maryland, or are they all over the country? Where are they at?
So majority, the desired location is the DC area, although there are other approved locations, which just depends on the client. So there are approved locations all across the country.
Oh, great.
Just depends on the client.
Yeah. Any hybrid work? Anything that's any kind of like that semi-remote type stuff that was going on for a while? You guys working in that space too?
Yeah, absolutely. So there is some flexibility within federal contracting. So we do offer some hybrid work arrangements, but it's highly situational and always driven by the customer's mission or needs, their security requirements. Work on the low side can be done remote, but really the key is customer preference. So in federal contracting, we don't set the work location policy. Our government customers do. So some agencies are a little more flexible and comfortable with remote work for their contractors, and others are stringent and require that on-site presence.
Yeah. I think it's a great question to ask, and one of those things that you do want to ask the company like yourself, because you're saying it's driven by the contract. Maybe it's not something that you guys can make the decision on, but depending on the contracts, job seekers would definitely want to know those types of things. Is there a culture at UberEther? Is there like a day-to-day culture that you could kind of describe it as something?
Yeah, I'll do my best to describe it. So UberEther has a very collaborative, mission-driven culture. So we are a largely remote team, which means we have to be very intentional about staying connected and supporting each other. People genuinely care about the work, and we also genuinely care about each other, which makes a huge difference when you're working on some of these complex, high-stakes projects for federal customers. I'd say day to day, it's a mix of deep technical work and strategic thinking. You might be architecting an IAM solution in the morning, meeting with a customer in the afternoon, and then collaborating with team internally. It's very fast paced and intellectually challenging, but there's also a lot of mentorship and knowledge sharing that goes on here at UberEther. People are not siloed, and we work as a real team across the organization.
That's awesome. And, I've worked in remote organizations as well, and you can have a culture even though it's remote. Do you guys at UberEther, do you have any like traditions or any kind of like fun activities that people that might be joining the company could look forward to?
Sure. So team traditions can evolve and certainly change from different teams that you're on, and they may have their own way of connecting. But what I can say as a collaborative whole, we celebrate wins together, whether that's landing a big contract or successfully delivering a complex implementation, hitting a major milestone. Those moments of recognition, they truly do matter, especially in a remote environment where it's easy to lose sight of collective success. So being a large remote company, we've had to be creative about building those connections. But the collaborative spirit definitely is still here, even remote. People genuinely support each other and share in those successes together.
Hey, when we kicked off our podcast today, Tabitha, we mentioned you're not a recruiter, you're a business doer, you're a hiring manager. So help us out. What part of the hiring process do you fit into? When would a candidate meet you in that process, and how would they meet you, and what would your role be in that process for a job seeker?
Sure. So we do an initial screening call, which I'm not a part of. And then we do a technical interview to really dig in. Do you know what you're talking about from a technical perspective? And then we do the manager interview, which is where I come in certain cases where we need to move quickly or we need to be flexible. We do sometimes combine the technical and manager interview together, speeding up that process.
So when you're doing these things, I know sometimes I've seen companies go with like red flag, green flag type things. So what are some green flags when you're going through the interview process that would make you say, yes, this person is UberEther material?
Yeah, so a green flag for me is genuine curiosity and problem-solving drive when someone has that. When someone lights up and talks about a technical challenge that they face, not just what they did or how they thought they did it, but really what they learned and maybe even how they could do it differently. It tells me they have the right mindset. We really need people who are energized by complexity, not intimidated by it here at UberEther. We have kind of a motto that we do not solve the easy, we solve the hard problems. So we're really looking for someone to be energized by the complexity. And
then, of course, the flip side of that question is what's the red flag? What's the kind of thing that makes you really look at somebody side-eyed, I guess?
Yeah. So a big red flag for me is when someone cannot articulate how they've handled a failure or a past difficulty. If everything in your past was perfect and great, and you never made a mistake, you're either not being honest or you've not been challenged enough. So in this type of work that we do, things go wrong and systems don't always integrate the way that you think they're going to, and requirements change midstream and customers have concerns or they change their mind. We need people who can own their mistakes, they learn from them, and they adapt.
Recruiting is competing for talent. So you can talk to people, and there's a good chance that if you're talking to somebody who's a good fit, they might be a good fit other places. So what is it that UberEther does to compete for the talent? You like somebody, you think that they're a good fit. What are the selling points that your organization has to really get folks to sign on the dotted line for UberEther?
So growth opportunity at UberEther here is huge. My own growth here, going from an IAM delivery manager to general manager in the 4 years I've been here, isn't my unique story. If you perform and you show initiative, then there's real room to advance both technically and leadership wise. And people really appreciate that opportunity. Another one is flexibility. Everybody loves flexibility. I stated before, we're largely remote, which gives people some autonomy over where and how they work, unless they're in a skiff and some things depending on what project they're on. But that said, the work itself is demanding and the federal space has its own requirements. So it's less about the work whenever and more about trusting people to manage their time and deliver the results.
You guys are you're in a technically driven environment, which is always changing. Identity management, stuff like is always changing. Are you doing things to help your employees stay up to date professionally? What kind of stuff's going on at UberEther in that regard?
We are. So here at UberEther, we do take professional development very seriously. We have a technology budget available for all employees, and we genuinely encourage growth and training for everyone. That commitment to investing in our people is something that we value, and we feel it's important in a field that moves as fast as IAM and cybersecurity does. Beyond the budget itself, the nature of the work keeps you current. We're partnering with leading technology providers, mentioned a few of them already, like SailPoint, Radiant Logic, Ping Identity, Delinea, which means you're working hands-on with the latest platforms and solutions. You're not managing legacy systems. You're implementing cutting-edge technology for customers with the most demanding requirements. So that real-world experience is invaluable there.
That's cutting-edge stuff is where people want to be a lot of times. Hey, looking at things like resumes, AI, artificial intelligence, that's the kind of thing that's in the news everywhere, but it's real. It's really having an impact on things. Are you seeing a lot of like AI generated resumes? Can you see those? Can you tell those when you see them, or are you seeing those at all?
We are. We see them
Are
a
you?
lot. What we can say is we can spot the AI polished language from a mile away. Everyone has spearheaded initiatives and drove transformational change. And it's always the same keywords that we see over and over again.
So is there a way that people can stand out besides just avoiding the keywords? I mean, it's almost like it's counterintuitive or...
Yeah. So I think be specific and be real. What we really want to know when we're looking at a resume is, what did you actually do? What problems were you there to solve? What technologies did you work with? What was the outcome? If you implemented a tool like SailPoint, tell me specifically about the environment. How many identities? What connectors? What compliance requirements did you solve? If you worked on a federal contract, tell us what agency, what was the mission context behind it, and what was the challenges that you navigated. The details are what sets you apart from someone else and makes you credible and makes you memorable.
Yeah, being personable is the best way to get around that artificial intelligence stuff. And I think it's great that when you hear a hiring manager say that they can see the difference, that you can pick it up, You told us during our pre-call back in the green room, you were saying that you had some people that did really great interviews with you sometimes. The resume gets through. You had somebody that was like trying to tie in their interview the UberEther core values or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about how this particular job seeker may have stood out for you in the interview process and what other people maybe could learn from that kind of a thing?
Yeah. So here at UberEther, we have unique core values that are specific to our company. And that particular person that was interviewing had a screening interview where they were told about our company's core values. They were told what they were. During the manager interview with me, they gave examples of how they fit those core values. So this impressed me because they took the time to remember the core values, do some research, and then explain how they fit into our unique core values.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, Tabitha, it's been great talking to you today. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Is there a website? Is there a recruiting email address? Should they hit you up on LinkedIn? How could somebody get in touch with you, Tabitha?
Sure. I'd say first and foremost, visit our website, UberEther.com. We are also available on LinkedIn. You can reach out to anybody at UberEther to find us. Tabitha,
just want to say thanks for joining us today on the podcast, and I hope that you have a great day.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, everybody. Tabitha has already stepped out. Wanted to go ahead and let you guys know, thank you so much for joining us on Security Cleared Jobs, Who's Hiring and How. Looking back at the conversation with Tabitha just now, I just loved hearing a hiring manager who talks about things like their core values and just really says they're looking for real people. And I think that if you're a job seeker out there, that's the kind of thing that you always want to be on the lookout for, is for a hiring process that really does value you as an individual. And I thought it was great to hear her real life stories about, spotting artificial intelligence resumes, how she doesn't really like those too much, but how she can really see what real people are doing and how she connects those things to the company. So great interview, great time talking to her. UberEther looks like a terrific company. Check it out, find them on the web. And thanks for joining us. If you like these kinds of podcasts, hit us up hit a follow on those things. You can find us on all the great places where you can get podcasts, and look for us at our next episode. Have a good one. Bye.